Matt, a home game this Saturday against Yeovil Town. How's preparations been leading up to this one?
It's been a week this week where we've been able to rest the players that need some rest, because we've obviously, we've been carrying a few players with injuries. So we've managed to give them a couple of days inside, which has helped. We've also managed to get minutes into players on Tuesday night that needed it, and everyone's come through that well. So we've had 4 training sessions this week. So the majority of the boys have done all of those sessions and all of those minutes. Some haven't, because their bodies were just at a point where they needed just some time off their feet. But we've used the time really wisely this week for them to recover and be ready for what we know is going to be another difficult game. That form, obviously for us at the moment, is better than it has been. We're unbeaten in 3, that's a real positive. We've got to start, in my opinion, getting clean sheets, because we've got goals in the team. We're now playing, our next opponent. They probably aren't on the run that they want to be on, but we know not only have they got some really good technical players, they've got an excellent manager who's really experienced, and we know it'll be a difficult game. So we're under no illusions around that, but we've delivered in the last couple of days what I feel and we feel as a group of staff, will give us an opportunity to win the game. And now it's over to the players, but they look fit, they look healthy. We've still got too many players in the treatment room, haven't managed to really get any of them out this week, which it would have been nice if we could do. So we look as if we're going again with the same group of players, which, they should feel confident now. We obviously last week was a bit crazy in terms of the lights going off, but they dealt with all of that really well. And there's been a good buzz around the training ground this week. But again, it will count for nothing if we don't go out and perform tomorrow.
And one of those players that are in the treatment room, slowly coming back, Tavon Cambo on the grass today. I think he's been on the grass most of the week. How big of the boost could that be?
Yeah, obviously I haven't seen him play personally. So watching him do his rehab, he's stepping it up. He looks sharp. He's got really good movement. And he's been doing a lot of unopposed finishing. So putting the ball back in the net. For him, it's been an absolutely, it's been really bad for him this season, because he's not been able to really get onto the pitch, and his injury was misdiagnosed a couple of times, but now we're at a point with Tabs where we can push his rehab on. Look, he's got a long way to go. We're hopeful that before the end of the season we'll see him in a shirt on the pitch. But what he needs to do and what we need to do is be sensible with his rehab. What we can't do is go from 0 to 100, because if we do, we can't have him breaking down. So the medical staff are in charge of that. It's been, I think, really good for him as well mentally to be in and around the group, even if that's just a warm-up, because he's spent so long in the gym on his own or in the treatment room. So look, he's a player, obviously we know that, he's a proven National League goal scorer, number 9, leads the line really well. So he's obviously somebody that we'd love to get back into the group as soon as possible, but for him on a personal level, obviously, it's obviously very good for him to be back running, and his whole demeanour has changed, which, having been injured myself, I understand how difficult it is. So look, we're trying to keep his spirits high, but I don't think we'll be seeing Tavs imminently. He needs now a really good body of work until he can join back in with the group.
And you mentioned clean sheets earlier on. It's sort of as if the last few weeks we've been building towards that. Defensive performances have been stepping up. Ollie Wright's been making big saves, and some massive efforts between Robbie Cundy and Alex Whitmore. Yeah,
the two of them have done well. My challenge to the players a few weeks back was I felt they needed to protect Ollie a bit more. I didn't feel that we were doing enough to help him. Look, he's a goalkeeper and he's paid to make saves, but we weren't doing enough to stop the opposition getting chances. I really liked us on Saturday, and I really liked against Ebbs Fleet because we put our bodies on the line, and it's hugely important that we do that, and we're going to have to do that again, because we know that Yeovil carry threats. We know that we've got good centre forwards, got good midfielders who like to break beyond. But in saying that, our 2 centre backs have looked powerful. Robbie is one of those players that's been off his feet this week, because he's come to us and played a load of football, having not played very much before that. But, you know, Wits and Robbie look like a good partnership at the moment. But as I say, you know, I'm desperate for zeros, and that's what we've been going after, especially obviously without them. But I also want us to be a little bit more clinical in the final third. That we understand that we still don't have Connor, we still don't have Jack. We know that they're two big players for us in the final third. So what we've got to do is we've got to find a different way of scoring goals, and that's what we've spent a lot of time on this week.
And touching on Jack Stevens there, he's triggered an extension in his contract. How big of a boost really is that, especially going into next season?
Yeah, Jack's a big player for the club. And as you say, that extension has been triggered. Jack is really disappointed. He's had rotten luck with injury. Since I've been here, I would say he's probably only been fit for not even 50% of the games, which is disappointing. But the injury that he sustained against Ebbsfleet was no fault of his own. So we've taken the advice that we need to, and I think he'll probably be out for another 3 weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks till we see him again. He'll be back before the end of the season, as will Connor. But me being me, I want to try and speed the process up as much as I can. But you know, it's a constant dialogue between myself, the coaches and the medical staff. Look, we want the players out of the treatment room as soon as possible. We're also acutely aware that we can't rush them, because once they're out of there, we want them to stay out. But you know, Jack's earned his extension to his contract. He'll be a big player for the club moving forwards. Obviously, you know, what he did last season and the goals he's got this season have been paramount to any success that we've had. So look, it's a really good move for us to be able to secure a player of Jack's quality for another season. What we need to do now is make sure that, you know, we finish the season strong. I don't want the season to peter out. I don't want it just to be players, you know, thinking about their summer holidays. What I want is that we go into each and every game trying to win. I want to win as many games from now to the end of the season as possible, finish strong and take that momentum into next season.
Matt, thank you for your time.